I think the Graham-Cassidy bill, I know it's a godsend for the people of Tennessee. Our low-income citizens would benefit hugely from Graham-Cassidy.
Well, wouldn't Maine citizens benefit too?
Yeah.
I mean,
so my understanding is, just in talking with somebody on the floor last night, that they would get about 42% more in the way of proceeds over the next 10 years. Whether that is valid or not, I do not know. Somebody from Maine would have to talk with you about that.
Back to the tax reform, this just is a sort of a philosophical question. When you're trying to broaden the base, and you know, when your rationale is that, I always think that the money is treated better in the private sector, and if you can, you know, the Grover Norquist idea that if there's less to spend, that the government, you know, if they have less to work with, maybe they actually will cut some spending here and there. Does it make sense to exclude the top 10% of taxpayers from any tax cuts when that's where you get 60% of the individual revenue? I mean, and why is that now in this bill? Is it because it's too hard to pay for the tax cuts for the corporations, so you can't go there? Or is it appeasing? Is it just too hard to sell in this day and age that it's another tax cut for the rich?
Well, first of all, there is no bill, okay? I'm talking about what the president's team is laying out. I have no idea what Senate Finance and House Ways and Means is going to do. So there is no bill at present. All I'm saying is that in order to achieve the goals that they have laid out, you've got to have $4 trillion in base broadening to make this work. And they need to show some growth above where we are that's realistic. I think most people here do not want to increase the debt. Joe, part of the problem we have in our country is we've been perfectly happy borrowing $1 trillion a year to pay for things. We just, you know, the NDAA goes above the president's budget even. It busts the budget caps by $83 billion. And so what's happening in our nation is the opposite of what you just said, and that is that people are willing to spend more money because nobody's paying for it. Okay, we're borrowing it each year. So, you know, this debate's going to be interesting. I look forward to being very, very active. I am all for pro-growth tax reform. I'm all for pro-growth tax reform that generates more revenues, which is what Mnuchin says this will do. And let's have the debate. And what I want to do in the Senate is make sure we can have that debate. But I'm not about to vote for a bill that I think is going to increase deficits here in our nation. I'm just
Senator,
not going to do it.
You're a deficit. So if rates go up for the top 10% of taxpayers, I mean, most tax cuts, you think it makes sense to cut for I mean, it's just that's the rationale of Heritage or AEI or any of them. You cut rates and you cut them across the board. Yeah. And you don't worry that, you know, some of these people that might be classified as the wealthy, they may benefit as well. But that's the overall way it's done. So you have no problem if rates go up on the top 10%.
That's not what I said.
No, I'm asking. I'm just asking whether, if that's the final bill, is that should it be okay with Republicans?
Yeah. To me, the most important thing for us to do, Joe, is to get corporate rates down where our corporations are able to compete with the industrialized world and to deal with the territorial system. That costs about $100 billion per point. So if you're going to try to take rates just, for instance, from 35% down to 20%, it's actually about $110 billion a point. So let's say that's $1.6 trillion. So you're eating up a lot of money there. If you're trying to get pass-throughs down to 25%, that's $50 billion a point. That's about $500 billion. So I think the most important thing for us to do as a nation is to make sure that our corporations are competitive around the world and that people want to invest here. I'm not weighing in on the top wage earners. I want to make sure your audience knows I'm not weighing in on that debate. We're going to have a plan that's going to come from the White House. My understanding is, and you've read it in the Wall Street Journal, y'all have, I think, talked about it on your television program, I think they're forecasting that at the end of the day, by the time you get through with the state and local deductibility being gone, that many high wage earners actually net will be paying more. I'm not advocating any position. What I'm advocating for is that we do something that's pro-growth, that we grow our economy, that we generate more revenues, that we save our nation, I'm willing to let the Senate Budget Committee do something that will clear the way for that. But at the end of the day, surely you guys want to make sure that we're dealing with the #1 threat to our nation, which is deficit. I would think that's what you want to do.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.